McDaniel.
Here.
Murdock.
Here.
Ritter.
Here.
Walker.
Here.
Thank you, council. Everyone's present, Mayor.
All right, if you please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, first up, consent agenda. And that includes approved minutes of the council meeting of December 3rd, approved pay ordinance number 797, and approved annual CMD renewals for Pizza Hut, Casey's, VFW, Mini Mart, and Harps. I think we have one check we need to exclude.
Yeah, from the pay ordinance, check number 37178 made out to Freedom Concrete for $94,000. That should be Freeman Concrete Construction, so we voided that check out. So if you want to just strike it, maybe remove it from the consent agenda, act on the pay ordinance separately, that would be best.
That was 37,178.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I move we remove check number 37,178 from the consent agenda pay ordinance.
Second that. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right.
I move we approve the consent agenda as modified.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll have roll call.
Lane.
Yes.
McDaniel.
Yes.
Ritter.
Yes.
Murdock.
Yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion carries.
So what we've done with that, we do have we'll have a separate check that the mayor will sign that goes to Freeman, so they'll go ahead and get paid. This will just show up
on that or anything, or?
Well, what we typically do, because we have a handful of these, if it's a utility bill that has its due at a certain time, or sometimes some payroll stuff, we have a handful of checks that aren't on the pay ordinance that do go out on a monthly basis. They'll show up on the next pay ordinance. So if you want to go ahead and make
We know the amount, right?
Yeah, that's the same amount.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, okay, so I move we authorize the payment to
Freeman
Concrete for CDBG sidewalks, $94,193.58.
I'll second that.
Motion and a second to make payment. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right.
Thank you. Sorry about that oversight.
All right. Next up is call to public.
I noticed I come up out of and turned on 84th Street, between 84th and we extra dark. I don't know how you determine when there's a street light out, or who determines it, or how you know unless somebody tells you.
We're taking note of it right
have,
now.
Have the street department check on it.
Yeah,
Real dark in there.
was it?
Yeah. That's how we know. People tell us.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Do we have anybody else from call to public? No? All right. We'll go on. Old business, we have none. Item 4 is new business. 4A, consider extending the building permit discount program.
Yeah, council, this is something that you've seen on numerous occasions before. Each time is a 6-month extension. Patrick prepared the ordinance to just do that same thing again. So this would run, this actually expires on January 6th, so it'd be at the next meeting, but we thought it'd be appropriate to go ahead and take care of it tonight. This would extend the program to June 2nd, 2017. Attached to the ordinance in your staff report is an exhibit that I think Steve Chick prepared this when we first did the program a number of years ago, just showing you the discounts that are given to each single family or triplex unit. Staff still feels like this is an important program to continue with the regeneration of the Dover Ridge subdivision particularly. We know Don Parr was counting on the discount program to continue to help his efforts with revitalizing that subdivision. So we'd recommend that you pass the ordinance.
I make a motion, we approve item 4A.
That's ordinance number 2411.
Second.
All right, I have a motion to approve ordinance 2411 in a second.
That was Mr. Ritter.
Yeah. Do we have any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Murdock,
Yes.
McDaniel,
Yes.
Walker,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Lane.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion carries.
All right. Moving on, item 4B, consider bids for roof replacements at the Aquatic Center and Miller Park.
Yes, council, believe it or not, this item stems from the hailstorm that we had on May 11th of this year. Initially, our insurance provider, Midwest Public Risk, came out and did assessments on all the city buildings and all the city vehicles, and quickly identified that every city-owned building that has an asphalt shingle roof, that those roofs were total losses, and agreed quickly to go ahead and pay for the replacement of those roofs. The only snafu was that rather than the insurance company handling hiring the contractor and performing the work, they put that on the city to hire the contractor and perform the work. Well, we have policies in place that say if you're going to do this sort of work, if it's over $10,000, you're going to get 3 bids. And so what we had to do was we had to hire a consultant to help us with the bid package so that Jay could go and get bids. So that's kind of what, working through that and working with the other insurance claims over the summer really delayed us getting this done. It's really no harm done. It was just like we would like to have done that before. And the insurance company agreed to reimburse the city. You also include in the claim the services for the consultant. That was a $10,000 item. They agreed to pay $9,000. We agreed to pay $1,000. So with that, we took bids just for the asphalt shingle roofs. So these were all the roofs back here at the pool, a couple down at Miller Park, the gazebo and the
Pool house.
The pool house, yeah. So we took, the insurance initially estimated that work to be about $46,000, and they cut us a check for that, and we deposited that check, so we have the money. The low bid came in at $26,800, and so we have plenty of money to cover it, so we're recommending that the council accept the low bid from Cedar Ridge Roofing in that amount, $26,800. You'd authorize the mayor to sign those contracts. That's just kind of one part of the larger insurance negotiations that have taken place over the course of the year. They really break down into 2 main areas. One was for the roofs, and then the other was on the vehicles. There was quite a bit of discussion and back and forth negotiations about compensation for cosmetic damage to the metal roofs, primarily on this building here. Metal roofs are all dinged up, but really functionally they're good, and there's no reason to believe that their service life is diminished in any way. So what we did internally was hire a roofing expert to give us their opinion on service life reductions for the metal roofing and for the membrane system roof, the TPO they're called. Those roofs are out here. If you walk out those doors, it's just the flat membrane system roofs that are out here. And then we also have one on the fire station. Insurance initially said, those weren't damaged, so all's good. Our just roofing contractors that we talked to and the professional that we hired weren't completely of that opinion. They were of the opinion that there was some service life reduction on those, and so we negotiated a settlement fee for that, just for the service life reduction on those roofs. So if you total just the roofing compensation from the insurance and claims, and take out the asphalt roofs that we're going to be replacing, you come up with a figure of $36,661. That's compensation for cosmetic damage on the metal roofs and for service life reduction on the membrane systems that we don't intend to use any of that money. My suggestion is we hold it in the general fund for now, but my suggestion would be that that money goes into some sort of a building replacement, building fund as seed money moving forward for repairs to this building or the fire station or what, we decide what to do with it later. It's a little bit of a similar story on the vehicles. There were 14 vehicles, I think there were 14 vehicles in total that received hail damage. And the insurance company, like they would for, for a personal car, they had an estimate on the damage. They cut us a check for that estimate. Before we cashed that, we internally made a decision that some of these vehicles we're not going to repair. So some like the older work trucks that we have, the older pieces of equipment in inventory, it's all cosmetic stuff. Nothing has anything to do with the functionality of the vehicles. But Exhibit C on the report that I gave you lists all the vehicles that sustained hail damage. And then on the very right side of that, it shows which vehicles we're going to actually repair. So if you take those out and you just look at the insurance estimate that we got, what you get is a total of $14,741 that we have proceeds for that we don't intend to use. So similarly, I would suggest that we roll that into our equipment, some sort of an equipment replacement fund that we can decide how we use that later. But I think we've talked internally here, at least informally, about establishing some sort of an equipment replacement schedule with all of our rolling stock and all of our, actually yellow steel, the equipment, to come up with some sort of a yearly figure that we can anticipate on a year-to-year basis to keep our fleet up to date. I would suggest that money goes into a pot similar to that. Those aren't decisions we have to make tonight. Essentially, I wanted to update you on really the conclusion of these discussions throughout the year that we've had with the insurance agency. The other thing I would say about our insurer is Midwest Public Risk. And I think when we decided to sign on with them, we gave the council an overview of how that organization, what it entails. Basically, it's a self-insurance pool made up of governmental agencies, both cities, counties, and school districts from the region, the Missouri and Kansas. It's really kind of a localized region. And I feel like it brings with it a higher responsibility, stewardship with the funds that we use. So the attitude I think both sides took was no one wants to take advantage of the insurance company. They don't want to take advantage of us. So I think this was a very fair way to go about it. So in terms of action items, again, I'd like to recommend accepting the low bidder, and I have a suggested motion there. The only other thing I'd say about the asphalt roofs, the item on the agenda for tonight, our bid's $26,800. The insurance money we've already got is about $46,000. What I would suggest is that we go ahead and do the project. If there are change orders or overruns in that, we can account for that. But at the end of that, if our actual cost to replace those is less than what we received, I would suggest that we cut a check back to the NPR for that amount. That's not something you typically would do. Maybe, if it's your own insurance and it's, American Family or whoever, you put the money in the bank and fix the roof yourself. I know I've done that on car claims before, but that's what I'd recommend you do. So I'll answer any questions you might have about the bid or about the process we went through, and what to do in the future with these extra funds. I think that's a decision we can make at a later time. So I'll stop there.
There was quite a spread in the bids.
Yeah.
26 to 40 to 80. Are we confident that Cedar Ridge has included everything and is confident to complete the project?
Yeah, Mike Gerstner with RTI, who did the bids for us and was present and helped us open the bids and evaluate them. He did have good things to say about them. He said that they've bid several recent projects that he's done, and were similarly low on those other projects and performed well. He didn't, he's guessing like we would be, maybe they're just trying to
The
keep it.
material is comparable or what, the product that they're proposing to use,
Yeah, I can't say that I had that discussion with him, but I do know the specs specified the material, they're pretty much full-blown specs.
Okay.
Like anything else we do.
So the membranes weren't any problem on any of the roofs? They,
So that's a complicated issue, because there's every sort of opinion you can have on it. So if you look at the membrane, you can sort of see where the hailstone struck, if it's still dirty. But after you wash it off, most of them you couldn't really see. But some of them you kind of can. And I think what we concluded with, with roofing contractors we talked to and with the insurance people and with the guy we hired, is that typically, it could be that roof will leak where a particular hailstone struck. But if that's going to happen, it'll happen typically in the first year after the event. Well, we're 6 or 8 months now from that event. We haven't had any leaking that we know of. But in general, there's really no way to know without completely removing the roof and redoing it. There's really no way to know if the event would cause a leak. But if it does, it'll be 1 or 2 leaks here or there. If we were going to have a catastrophic failure of thousands of hailstone strikes, we would have seen it by now. And we probably would have seen it by June with the weather that we had. So what we settled on essentially was the service life reduction was 10% of the replacement cost of the roof. That's the figure we settled on. And it's a little bit arbitrary. It's more than 0 and less than 100%. So, and we feel, the further along we get and the more rain we get and weather on that without leaking, the more comfortable I am that we'll be okay.
I have one more question also on those cracked windshields on the 2 dump trucks
Yeah.
that we're not gonna replace. Is that gonna,
I think we already, let's see, where is it? I don't think there were any windshields that we.
it says cracked windshield and hail damage on the 2 dump trucks, the 1994, 1999. And we've not, doesn't show at the right that we're not repairing those, so is this something that's gonna bite us later?
That's a good question. I didn't think there was any windshield that we weren't gonna replace, so that's
Well,
the,
the other ones that's got cracked windshields we're replacing, it says, but this one down,
Yeah.
that 2 down here.
30-30 and 30-31. right?
Yes, sir.
The top one was either the second
I
one.
thought those were so I thought one had already been.
That's what worries me, that we're gonna just come around, that's gonna hit us, so.
Yeah, I'll check, let me check up on that for you. I don't have the answer. Yeah, there's another 1-6, the second line.
Yes, yes. That's on the pickup, yeah.
Yeah, I was almost sure we'd replaced all the windshields, even before the insurance came back with any of its estimates, so.
Okay.
I'll follow up with Ron on this.
All right.
But I agree, we should replace cracked windshields. I mean, you can't, I don't think it's legal to drive a vehicle with a cracked windshield. Is it? Maybe it
Unless
is.
it was just
I
chipped
know
of
you
some
do it all the
sort.
time, but that doesn't mean it's not legal.
Depends on where it is. If it's obstructing your view, if it's in the
Yeah,
passenger
yeah.
side, then it's not a big deal, but
Maybe it was
if
some
it's in
kind
front
of
of your view, it needs to be fixed.
chip that's been.
You guys can talk up if you want to.
You're on the right track.
Could you excuse us for a moment while we discuss this?
Yeah.
No admission appeal. These are all hypothetical windshields.
Right, right. And hypothetically, there is a statute addressing that.
Good answer.
Mike, was the roof out at the water treatment plant, everything was okay on that?
Yeah, it was actually right before we replaced it.
Oh.
So it was the
before
old
Okay,
roof.
that was the old roof.
Yeah.
You got beat up.
Lots of.
And it really costs us $10,000 to get $26,000 in claims figured out.
Cost us $1,000.
No, it costs 10.
Yeah, the,
I mean, I get.
Yeah. Professional
That's
services
ridiculous.
don't come cheap.
Well, yeah,
But it could have been
Ron
as
could have
much
done
as
that.
Could have been $8.
$80,000 worth of work.
Glad it wasn't.
Yeah. Yeah, that would have been a bad. I move we accept the low bid from Cedar Ridge Roofing in the amount of $26,800 and authorize the mayor to enter contract agreement for the project.
I'll second the motion.
I have a motion to accept Cedar Ridge Roofing. And a second. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Lane,
Yes.
McDaniel,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdock,
yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Thank you, council. The motion carried.
All right. Item 4C, consider revisions to the fee resolution for building permit fees.
Yes, council, this, Steve Chick spoke with me about this during, I think it was during the summer when all these roofing permits were going on, generating, so much revenue for us, that he had a spat of people starting those projects without getting a permit first. And it brought up, it highlighted the fact that we don't have a mechanism to, have any deterrent for people doing that. He thought that maybe he had a couple of contractors in town that would, knowing that they needed a permit, go ahead and start it, and if he called them on it, they'd get one, if not, they wouldn't. So this would be a way of deterring that sort of activity. So essentially, it's much the same of many other Johnson County cities. If you start something that requires a building permit before you get a building permit, then the fee doubles. And that's all we're doing with this particular fee resolution.
Okay.
Be resolution number 976.
Have any discussion?
I think I'm okay with it.
Need a motion?
I'll make a motion unless anybody has discussion. We approve resolution 976, establishing fees and rates for permits, licenses, and services within the city of DeSoto.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Walker,
Yes.
McDaniel,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdock.
Yes.
Thank you, council. Motion carried.
All right. Item 4D, consider charter ordinance number 25 regarding city elections and appointed officers.
Yes, council, as I indicated in the memo, this charter ordinance is to just make it clear that the city of DeSoto's elections will now be in November of odd numbered years, and indicating how people's terms will be treated. I think we've already discussed the fact that those members whose terms would expire, let's see, the end of, right, in April, actually now will extend through, basically through the entire year up until January. And so this charter ordinance clarifies that. It also indicates that elections will be nonpartisan. And that's something that we could just put in the city code, but I thought that it'd be best to put it in the charter ordinance. And then, as explained in the memo, the one other thing is the new election law has a requirement that when someone runs for city office, that the city require a certain number of signatures to accompany that application. So I did not address that in this charter ordinance. I thought, because assuming this charter ordinance passes we go 60 days without a protest, what we'll want to do is take these provisions from the charter ordinance and insert those into the city code. So that will require just a regular ordinance to have these as part of the city code. And I thought at that time we could also, you guys could give some thought as to the number of signatures you want to require with an application to run for office. The league has indicated that most cities are making that number from 1 to 10, somewhere in that range. I think a lot of cities are just doing 5 signatures, but you can do it however many signatures you want to require. So
What's the point of that?
I guess just
Make sure you're
getting,
bona fide.
yeah.
Some support.
Just 4 to 5 It's only like one, it seems kind of also. I don't know.
I had a question on page 3, this section 5,
Sure.
where the appointment of city officers. Some of these, I thought it was addressed in a charter ordinance, because I don't appoint a judge, prosecutors, city attorney, city engineer, city administrator.
Well, you would if there's a vacancy. That's what this is saying. When we went from third-class city to second-class city, the decision was made, I believe it was Dave Anderson was in office, that instead of appointing officers each May, that if you're appointed as an officer, then you hold that office until, if a 2/3 majority of the governing body wants to remove that person for whatever reason, or no reason, if it's the council just decides you want to do something different, you have that prerogative, and then that would obviously create a vacancy, and then the mayor would make that appointment to fill that vacant spot. So, Mayor, in answer to your question, it is still true that you appoint officers but only when there's a vacancy.
Even with the fire chief, seeing how
No, because they're not part of our.
they're not part of our.
Right, and I just worded it, to be, because I had the thought that, let's say, the fire district for some reason went under, you wouldn't wanna have to wait for the entire time of the charter ordinance to be able to have a city fire chief and assistant fire chief. So the way I worded it was just that if there's ever a time that there is a city fire department, then the mayor would make those appointments. But that's
Okay.
only if it was a city fire department. And the mayor does vote on the charter ordinance.
All right. That's the only question I have. Do I have any other discussion?
Charter ordinance number 25, council.
I make a motion, we adopt charter ordinance number 25.
I'll second that.
As written.
We have a motion and a second to adopt charter ordinance number 25. Any further discussion? All right, the roll call.
McDaniel,
No.
Walker,
Yes.
Lane,
Yes.
Ritter,
Yes.
Murdock,
Yes.
Mayor.
Yes.
Thank you, council and mayor. The motion carried.
I assume you're voting no in protest to the extension of your term?
I don't think the state legislature has a right to tell this group what we can do in our city and what we can't. And so if we just all say, yeah, that's okay, just keep doing it, keep taking away our rights, I hate it, I think it's wrong. I've already told them people would take the 3 of them what I feel about it, and the governor is one of them. I think it's
agree.
wrong.
I agree.
All right. Executive session, none.
Correct.
Advisory reports, Mike?
Yeah, I have a few things. Last month I sent an email out to everybody asking about the date of March 4th for the council retreat. I think I heard back from Lori, not heard back from Ron, not sure about anybody else.
I just put it in the calendar, I didn't respond.
Oh, that's fine, that's fine. I assume it's still good. If it's not, you guys let me know, March 4th. It's a Saturday. So this is the retreat with the goal setting and visioning process through the facilitator that came to us by way of Johnson County Community College. The one thing.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, Johnson County Community College. It's gonna route you to the college. I knew that wasn't Lana's voice. I was like,
Was not me.
Why did she even do that?
the one thing we didn't discuss was a location for that retreat.
Right.
We talked about kind of having it out of town to, to get away in a different setting.
Puerto Rico?
At 8 p.m.
What's that?
my
Puerto Rico?
abilities at the moment.
Well, now Danny doesn't want to go to Puerto Rico.
Where's he wanting to go?
I don't know, wherever his phone tells him he's gonna go. But Johnson County Community College does have facilities there that we could hold it there. There are no extra charge as long as you use their facilitator, so that's a good thing. We would have to probably, if we want lunch, which I'm assuming we would, use their catering service. So there'll be some cost there, but I would suggest that
Is
we.
this a 4-hour meeting, an 8-hour meeting, or a
It is a
24-hour
Saturday.
meeting, or what?
Well, yeah, it's gonna probably
6
an
to
all
8.
day. I was thinking 6 to 8. Yeah, it'll be an all day thing.
We
6
go
to
out for
8.
drinks afterwards.
Yeah, you can go before if you want, but once you're there, no drinking until you're there.
No drinking on campus? Well,
Yeah.
then we should rethink this.
Well, 6 to 8 hour meeting.
6 to 8.
Yeah, I'm not. We haven't really set the schedule, but
Oh,
it'll
okay.
be an all day thing.
All day.
So we don't need a motion or anything, but if everybody's okay having it at the community.
Well, I like the price.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the price is nice. And I didn't think there was any desire to go off to some exotic place like Lori mentioned. But if there is, let me know. We don't have the budget for
Where
it.
did you mention?
I was
Lori?
thinking about
Puerto
Tamtera
Rico?
myself.
Terra, Puerto Rico.
Lodge of the Four Seasons in the Ozarks or something?
Yeah.
No, Puerto Rico.
Oh, Puerto Rico, okay. You've been there.
Oh, yeah, it's
Yeah.
been a while though.
You're in the video, right?
Anything else, Dwayne?
Yeah, well, first, I mean, if everybody's
good with
okay,
that.
we'll go
Yeah.
ahead and schedule the room. What else was it? Oh, I just sent an email out today with our monthly budget, kind of end of year budget projections. So read through those. If you want a hard copy, I can get you one. It's 36 pages.
18 front and back.
18 front and back, that's right. Which is what Ron got, and Danny and Kevin. If you have any questions, let me know. We're still looking good. Really the only thing requiring some explanation in those projections are these insurance proceeds. We have $180,000 in insurance proceeds hit the general fund this month. And so if you look at just the projected year-end balance, boy, it looks great, but don't get so excited. We're still looking at losing about $150,000 from the first of the year to the end of the year, which is kind of where we projected in September. October, we were projecting only 116,000 revenue loss, but there was about 50,000 already in insurance proceeds in there that we didn't kind of wash out of it. So essentially, we've been stable throughout the fall. And that was all for water.
Under the river.
Yeah.
Well, what happened?
Well, it's done. Yeah, so we did get cleaned out what needed to be cleaned out. I will be getting a report on that whole thing with pictures, and probably sometime in January I'll get to you. But it really, I mean, there's no doubt it needed it. What we did. So the pumps are running
More efficient?
more efficiently, but not exactly
Where
where
you'd expect
where
them
they
to be if
should
it
be,
was all cleaned
which
up.
probably means the rest of the line needs cleaned out. And so we'll be talking about that bond authorization change with the bond money we already have left over. We'll be working with Gilmore and Bell in January to line up those projects and start on cleaning the rest of that raw main all the way up to the plant.
Is that just passing an ordinance and publishing the new plan, or?
Essentially, yeah, I'm not exactly sure
They'll tell us.
the tracks, but yeah, it's only a couple $1,000 in fees for Gilmore Bell, so it couldn't be too much.
Right.
Yeah, that was it.
All right. Patrick?
Yeah, the only thing, you know, we had talked about a workshop on the Cherokee Woods subdivision, so just wanted to keep that on everybody's radar. I don't know, Mike, if you,
Would that be an open meeting, or would that be an executive session, or?
probably a lot of it would be an open, but I'll need to get direction from you and give you direction on,
Okay.
from a, you know, legal standpoint, but no, I think
Most of it.
most of it would be open session, just kind of talking about, you know, what options are available and how the tax sale works, all of that.
Okay.
How long will the meeting be?
I would think no more than an hour.
Do we wanna tack it on a virtual meeting, or do we want a separate time for it?
I just assume maybe a regular meeting, but, you know, we could.
Why can't we do it in executive session after a meeting in here?
You could, but just some of it is really not, you know, executive session is reserved for me giving you legal advice or getting information from you to give you legal advice. And just a lot of it really is not, you know, it's just talking about how the process works. It would not. So I just think parts of it just would not really qualify for the exception for executive session, but certainly there is some of it that we would probably need to do in executive session.
Well, then maybe look at a short agenda, the meeting after the first of the year.
Okay. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Or a long agenda.
That's all I have.
That's it? Lana?
I have nothing this evening, thank you.
Nothing?
No, sir.
I'd like to give Lana praise Lana a little bit on her work on that dinner. She did an awful good job on decorating and helping to get that thing set up. That was a nice event, and the food was really good, so it all turned out really well. So I want to thank you, Lana.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, went off pretty well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Did, it was a little bit smaller group this year than we had last year, but DJ from Overland Park, as you know, is the Council of Mayor's assistant for that, and she's already starting with next year, so that's just her big thing, and I'm always happy to help. So I think it's speaks highly of our city, because people always comment that we have all of our council members and staff there for the most part, and when you look around at some of the other cities, they have 3 or 4 council members, and sometimes not even some cities are represented. So DeSoto always stands out, and people comment on it, so I think that speaks very highly of our community and all of you for being available to it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor.
All right, good meal. All right, Danny?
Yeah, good job, Lana, I'll add to that.
Thank you.
You did a superb job, and like Tim said, the food was excellent. A lot better than the past cardboard issues.
Yeah.
But anyway, I have a question I wanted to ask Mike. On the water tower, you said the power was complete there, and the power is all for, I didn't understand what the pump there, and
Well, there's no pump. Really, it's kind of just an auxiliary power. We do have there'll be some telemetrics equipment on the tower and lighting inside, and there's a light on the outside of the door.
So like the logo?
is there a
Well,
logo
you know,
light? or are we
I
putting this-
wondered about that, because I drive by at
Christmas
night.
lights on there.
I drive by at night and you don't see
No,
that.
I'm sorry, I interrupted Mike.
Yeah,
No, that was a thought too, I had.
Yeah.
Said that, Rick.
yeah, I know. Well, if we, you know.
We could
since
come up
it's
with an
solar-
uplight.
We could probably get like a solar powered, like flight lights that.
Yeah,
I think it might
I
take
want
more than
something,
solar.
something with a little higher watt.
Yeah.
Hollywood searchlight,
Yeah.
rotate around. But no, we did get power to the, and the tank we're filling, I think it should be full. We filled it this week, over the course of the week.
So did you, we have to flush that a couple times, is that what?
No, actually, part of the contract to install the tower was to disinfect.
So
And
they
what they do is,
disinfected the.
yeah, so what they did is they took a concentrate solution, got down inside the tower, sprayed the
They got
walls.
The guy spraying and brushing.
Yeah, yeah, spray and brushing, and then rinse that out, so it's ready to go.
That's all I had, I just had those two things.
All right.
Thank you.
Darling? Question for Mike. Water tower on the east side of town.
Yeah,
What is the consensus on that? What are we doing?
well, that's kind of been a little bit of a delay in getting Gilmore Bell in here to reauthorize additional projects, because remember when we looked at the list of additional projects that we want to do with $1 million left over, lowering that water tower is one of them. And we threw a number of about 300,000 at it, not really knowing exactly. Well, McGuire Iron has been doing some studying on that and looking, they came back with a price that was almost double that. They would need new foundations because the legs are going to be
Changes,
closer
right,
together.
the shape's different,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they didn't think they could do it for much less than 550,000. So that made me pause about that. Talking with Doug, we wonder if it's a little bit that McGuire's just really busy right now, and it could be.
Could be.
It could be that if we time it right, we get that work done for maybe less. So what I talked to Doug about today was, let's move forward with the authorization of additional projects. Let's authorize those ones that we were comfortable with on the cost estimates, and then whatever's left on that funding, just put it toward that water tower effort, and just save it for last. And if I will talk with Gilmore Bell if we can actually do that, what the legal implications of that are, not knowing for sure if we're actually going to do it. But that's my suggestion now, and that's how we'll kind of approach it. So looks like we'll have, if you take all the money, we'll have about 370,000, 380,000 left over after all these other projects are done for that water tower issue. I guess there's an off chance we could do something like that. But you get up into the area where it's gonna be cheaper, or as cheap to build a new coastal tower,
Right.
like we've already got. So that's kind of what's been going on the last couple of months.
Good enough. That's all I got.
All right.
Rick?
I don't have anything for that, Mayor, thank you.
Lauren?
I just want to mention, it's not really city related, but Harps is going to do a nice donation to the food pantry on Monday, and they're trying to get some television recognition. It's going to happen at Harps. They're giving, 40-some hams or something to the food pantry. And so if anybody's available to come out there around 11 o'clock, I think is when that's going to happen. We're just trying to hopefully get a lot of people there, and hopefully we do get a television station there and get some promotion for Harps and DeSoto itself on that. So that's the idea, is to promote all of us on that. So just wanted to mention that.
11 o'clock on Monday.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't have anything.
All right, Kevin?
I thought that was a great thing too. I heard Sarah talking about that all week, so kudos to her for helping out there.
Yeah.
No, I don't have anything else.
That's it.
I'll make a motion.
Go ahead.
I forgot the mayor.
Yeah, he said he didn't have
Already,
anything.
already did my, I spoke over
But I'll make a
there.
motion, we adjourn.
Second.
A motion to adjourn, is there a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.
Oh, Mike.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yes.
I don't see you before then.
Yes. Merry
Merry
Christmas.
Christmas.
I did forget to mention, I'm taking vacation between Christmas